Alrighty, I'm back, you guys, and I have the camera right side up now. Yay! I didn't realize I had it upside down, so sorry. And now I have it vertical, so I'm going to see. Maybe this is better for Facebook if it's vertical. Anyway, hi guys. How are you? How was your weekend? If you are tuning in, thank you, thank you. I am teaching how to paint palm trees. This is like part 2. And I'm using acrylic paint. I just Googled coconut palms and printed out this photo. Hello, hello, tell me, hi Christine. Tell me where you're from, and please, please share this video. I'm trying to promote my launch of my online painting classes coming soon. Because I figured out that teaching people how to paint on video is actually more effective than in person, because you can pause, rewind, all kinds of good stuff. So I'm going to be filming a lot of my videos. I've been teaching people how to paint for about 5 years. I absolutely love it. But I love painting at home in my pajamas even more, and I think you guys might as well. So we're going to continue. We basically started with black paint, and if you missed the first part, you might want to watch that. I showed you what you should be thinking about when you are drawing with a paintbrush, basically. We started with black and we painted the trunk. I kind of showed you quickly how to paint the stems and the fronds using a brush, a flat 3/4 inch or 1 inch brush. And it's a lot easier than you think, but it is the kind of thing that you need to practice at least once. And I used watercolor paper, 140-pound watercolor paper from a Canson XL pad. This is what it looks like. Just buy yourself one of these from Michael's when they're, on sale. These are great to paint with acrylic paint. All right, so I'm using acrylic paints. I've got blackout white. It's much more opaque. I like using that. And then I've got 2 blues. I've got phthalo blue. This one is ultramarine blue. So that's the warm blue. It's more purpley. Phthalo blue, when you add white to it, it's more of a blue-green. You can kind of see that right there. Burnt sienna. Raw sienna, a little bit of phthalo green, and this is Acrylic's chrome yellow. So I might call this cool yellow, and I might call this raw sienna warm yellow. The phthalo green is a very, very cool green. So I started with black, and because you want to get your darks established quickly in acrylic painting, and then you can layer in lighter colors later. That's just how I paint. I think that's how most acrylic painters paint. You want to get your darks nice and dark. And then we went in and we added the phthalo green here and there. I also did a mixture of, what did I do? I did it on here. Is this dry? Not totally. I did a mixture of, phthalo green, burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of white. You can add a little bit more raw sienna. You want to have a variety of greens whenever you're doing a tree, obviously. You want to have a temperature shift. That's something I learned from one of my painting mentors, Nancy Medina. I do oil painting classes with her. She's a great teacher. So she talks a lot about temperature shift. So temperature meaning cool to warm. So I want to have some cool greens and some warm greens in here. So as an artist, you learn to look at things that way. What makes this interesting to me is that there are cool greens in here, And then there's some browns, you know, mixed with green, so that's a warm green. And then there are these lime yellow greens in here that just, it's like the cherry on top. Really makes it pretty. So that's what we're going to do. Just like we did in this sample in part 1. We started with our black. So here's our black base, if you will. I'm going to do the trunks first, and then we're going to paint in all those palm leaves. I call them fronds. I don't know what they're really called, but all right. So I'm going to use my my 1-inch brush. You know, if you've got 3/4 inch or even 1/2 inch, that's fine. You do want a flat brush like this, flat top. And I'm basically going to mix up a color, and then I'm going to do these horizontal strokes across my trunk all the way down. Because when you look at this photo, you actually do see horizontal lines going across the trunk. So I'm going to mix up a color, and I'm going to reuse this dirty plate because it's okay. If I wind up mixing in previously used colors, that's okay. It actually causes color harmony when you do that. You want to have, I just learned something this past, maybe a year ago. You want to have a mother color. Have you guys ever heard mother color? Like one color that is used in all your mixtures of color on the painting. That will bring harmony to the whole thing. So I'm actually trying to use a little bit of, believe it or not, the burnt sienna in all of my color mixes in this painting. So that's going to be the harmony that brings it all together. And believe it or not, I do have a little bit of burnt sienna in this sky color. It dulled it down just a little bit so I didn't have a crazy bright blue. Because the sky is never pure blue. Anyway, all right. I do digress. Sorry about that, but I like teaching. I like explaining things. So, all right, we are going to do the trunks. I'm going to basically just dip my brush is pre-moistened. Getting some white. Just get a little bit of white on here. Put that on my palette. Obviously, I'm going to get some burnt sienna, right? Mix that in there. When I look at this, when I'm looking at my reference photo, it's a very neutral grayish color, so that tells me there's all 3 primaries are in there. So I've got this, you know, I'm using burnt sienna as my red, so now I'm going to get a little blue in there. I want it to be cool. I'm going to use the phthalo blue. Get a little phthalo blue in there, right? It actually does already look kind of gray. I think I like that just as is. Let's see what that looks like. The way it looks on my palette isn't, you know, a true indicator of what it's going to look like on my painting. I don't know if I'm going to like it until I actually put it on my painting. So let's go ahead and test it out. Sometimes I see people, you know, just going through all these paints, mixing a color, and then they put it on the canvas and it's, oops, it doesn't even look right. What matters is how it looks on your canvas. So when I put it on my canvas, I see that it's actually a little too dark and it's not warm enough. So I'm going to get, I'm going to warm it up a little bit with more brown and more white. I think I pulled in some of that black, and that's what made it too dark. So let's test this out. Yeah, much better. And I'm just basically going to do these horizontal little, I'm pulling it ever so slightly across. All right, good enough. I am not going to worry about it too much. I want this to be loose and fun and not too belabored. So let us know where you are from. If this is your first time watching me paint, let me know how can I help you be a better painter. Is there anything you'd like for me to show how to paint? Let me know. I'd love to know. maybe I'm going to try getting a little bit purpley here with my warm blue and my burnt sienna. And it's going to be slightly more purpley. So don't be afraid to try different colors. It's okay to leave some of it black. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's okay to have some black still showing. All right. So we're doing our trunks first. So this is just an ever so slight little horizontal pull across that trunk. And just that quick, you're done. All right? I can come back and do more later if I want. Definitely want this to be more cooler and in shadow. So maybe a little bit of black. Yeah, that's better. All right. Good, good, good. So now we're going to start getting some color in our actual leaves of our palm tree, okay? So I'm going to wipe off what I have in my brush right now, and I'm just going to start with my cool dark greens. So I'm going to use the phthalo green, get that on my mixing plate, and a little bit of black. So phthalo green is a really, really powerful color. Let's test it out. Let's just test it out. Yeah, I like that. I don't know if you can see it. So again, I always just mix a little bit and test it out. Some people, when they're new, they get so freaked out about mixing colors. They spend all this time mixing color and then only to discover, oh, it's not even the right color. So again, when we're doing these fronds, we want to line it up on the stem that we painted and then pull. Line it. I call that the stem of the leaf. I call it a stem. And then these are the fronds, I guess. And we're just basically going to pull. It's like eyeliner, and like you're lining up the brush on your eyeliner and then you're pulling down. I'm not going to use this color everywhere. I want variety. I like to say variety is the spice of life. But I'm gonna kind of dance around the canvas and put it here and there. I'm not going to focus too much on one palm tree. That usually leads to overworking it. All right, so just little bits here and there. If you're running out of paint and you're having to push down to get the paint to get onto the canvas, that means you need to mix more paint or get more in your brush or something, because if you start pushing down too much, you're going to make it too fat, too big. All right. So maybe just a little bit more back here. So when you're looking at your reference photo, you can squint your eyes and see where is it really the darkest. Where do I need to make it darker? All right, so I think that's enough. of the blue-green. I'm going to do several other colors. So maybe now what I want to do is like a grassy green. So I can take this green that I just mixed and just add a little bit of yellow to it. I'm going to add the warm yellow. Right? And now I'm going to pick some areas where to put this color. Right? Now this green is wet, so I'm going to dry it a little bit. It's kind of like what I call my save as. I just want to lock that in. If I were to paint that right now, it's just going to blend. So that quick, with a blow dryer, I can, just dry that off. I've got my brush loaded, it's chisel pointed. You guys know how we chisel pointed, right? If you don't know how to chisel point, you're going to find out if you go back and look in the first video that I did earlier. So then I'm just here and there, I'm going to use this color. Not everywhere. I can even paint new branches. Like right here on this one that I'm looking at, there's a light color right there. Now that looks like really lime green. I don't have that color mixed right now. I'm using this color right here. But I can come back with a lighter color in a minute, and I'm going to do that. So this is more this color right here. Right? So I'm just getting a few of these light branches like in front of some previous branches. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And you don't even have to worry about it all that much. Let yourself have some fun being loose with this. Especially if you're just doing this as a practice. Have fun with it. All right, so not a ton, but I went around, I danced around and did a little bit of that color on each palm tree. So now I want to get a little bit of brown in there. Remember we said we're doing like this mother color brown. So I just dipped my brush in the brown and I'm mixing it with whatever. And I'm just going to do a few brown. Oh yeah, I like that. Just kind of flicking it almost. That brown gives a hint of warmth. And it gives us that temperature shift we were just talking about. We need that, right? All right, so I think that added a lot. I don't know if you could tell. All right, so now I'm going to lock this in. I'm going to throw my brush in the water. And I'm going to blow dry this real quick because next I want to paint that lime green yellow, and I'm pretty much going to be done with my demo here. So here how that's looking. And again, this is just a quick demo of how to paint palm trees. I'm not trying to make a perfect painting here. My purpose here is to show you the techniques and how easy it is to paint a palm tree. So I want to make this lime green. So I'm going to use my my bright yellow. This is actually chrome yellow by Acrylic. Yellow, and a tiny bit of phthalo green. Now the phthalo green is really strong. It wants to take over. You don't need much. So there's my phthalo green, and a tiny bit of white. Maybe a little bit more white. wipe it against the rim of the plate, flip it over, and that gives you that nice chisel point. All right, so I'm going to come in. So if you look at your, spend a little time looking at where is this lime green color? Where do I see it? I see branches in front of the other ones. So this is my opportunity to do that. And so I'm just going to line it up on the tip of that, tip of a spine, and pull. I don't know if you could see that. That shows up a little better, hopefully, right? And again, it's like anything. Once you've done it a couple times, it's like, oh, this isn't as hard as I thought, Truly it isn't. I think sometimes what I've noticed in in teaching people is we just freak ourselves out more than we really need to, So that's why I kind of feel like teaching people at home how to paint, they're going to be a lot more comfortable, and they're going to be able to just really listen and get what I'm talking about. That's what I'm thinking. In person, people are thinking about so much stuff, and so see what I mean about that's like the cherry on top. It really brings it home, doesn't it? All right, so then there's another little tool I wanted to show you guys real quick. You can actually use a credit card. And if you're just stopping in here, please say hi. Tell me where you're from. Oh, I see a weird glob right there. Let me know what you would like to see me teaching. I'm going to be offering online painting classes. Please share this video if you know somebody that would like a free lesson on how to paint palm trees. So anyway, I've got a credit card, right? And I can actually use the side of this credit card dipped in paint to get even more detail-y parts in here, right? I can cut this to make it narrower, to make it the exact width of some of my little palm fronds if I want to. I'm not going to do that right now. But so I'm just going to get, let's see. Maybe what I'll do is I'll use brown. How's that? I'm dipping it in brown and raw sienna. And I'm just going to tap it on the plate to offload it a little bit. So it's on the edge of that. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just going to pick some little places to put that, to get that line on there. So the first couple times you do it, you may not have enough on your the edge of the card to actually make a line, which I didn't quite have enough, so it didn't do anything. But now, got a little more on there. And you kind of have to just keep trying it until you get it right. There you can kind of see that little line I made? I hope you can see that. Oh, hi Beth. Beth is who inspired me to do this today. I just love that she's been painting with her daughter, and she just mentioned that she couldn't you know, they were having a little bit of a hard time with palm trees. And you know, everybody has a hard time with palm trees. Let's see, where do I want to put this? Oh, I like what that did. Dipping it in. Yeah, nice. You can even do this on the side of your trunk. All right, so I got a little bit of white on there. Oh yeah, this we did this technique for when we did birch trees. But see how cool that looks on the trunk? I don't know if you can see that. And I have different mixtures on here, and I'm basically holding it at a side angle so that I have a lip of paint on there. And I just went across. Now right there I smeared it too much, so there is a way to fix that real quick. I'm going to take a clean brush with water, and I'm just going to come along this edge right here and wet that. Right? Don't freak out that you got a puddle of water, it's okay. And I'm not rubbing too hard. So I just basically wet that glob that went into my water, kind of rubbed it a little bit with my watery brush, and now I'm just going to use a paper towel and pick up that puddle of water. And I got rid of that glob. So you can fix mistakes if you fix them quickly. All right, so I like that. I like what's happening with that on my trunk, so I'm going to get a little bit more of that going on. I got white, blue, I've got raw sienna and burnt sienna on here. All right, so have fun with this. I think this is so much fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. If there's a little bit of a textured edge on your trunks, hey, they actually do look like that when you look at them close up. Maybe even put a little black in here. Why not? There's a little black. So I do want them to be a little darker at the bottom. That contrast against the white is going to really make that pop. All right, I like that. I like what that did. I'm going to turn it the other way. Maybe get some black coming on the other side of it. So it's a little bit of kind of getting used to that, how to load it. Again, if you practice on paper where it doesn't really matter too much, you'll kind of build up your skills on how to do this. You can practice on watercolor paper. All right, I like what that did. I'm even going to put a little bit of this black in at the center of my palm trees, just to give them a little bit more emphasis. I don't like the white though. So let's see, I think I might blow dry this now. And I might decide on just a couple more areas where I want the focal point. I want this to be the focal tree. So I'll hit this with the blow dryer real quick. Yeah, there's still a few globs from having used the credit card, but I didn't want to keep you guys here listening to that blow dryer all that time. So I just want a couple more really more highlighted palm fronds on this tree, just to really make it pop out. And I know I also can bring your eye to a focal point by using contrast. So I'm just going to put, going to make my dark a little bit darker in the middle on this tree. So I'm going to use a round brush now. And I'm just going to load that a little bit and add some water to it, black with a little bit of water. And I'm just going to go in here, being careful not to hit any parts that are wet. And see where it's really dark right here? I just want to get that darkness on this particular tree. Just get this a little bit darker in here. I'm just making my darks a little bit darker to really make this pop out a little bit more. Does that make sense? Because your eye will go where there's contrast, for sure. Didn't want that to be so prominent. I'm thickening up the trunk a little bit right here too. All right, so that really did, I think that really did work in bringing that tree forward a little bit more. I'm even going to continue outlining him. All the way down. All right, so see how that really brought that guy forward a little bit more? So I'm getting this good and dark under here. Hey Barney. Barney came down to check out what's going on. He probably heard me talking and thought someone was down here with me. He loves visitors in my studio. All right, I'm just darkening up this guy a little bit too. Just so that my lime green will really pop a little bit more. Making like a cool gray, a lighter cool gray trunk for these guys, just to kind of clean this up a little bit more. hear my husband up getting coffee. All right. So here's what that's looking like now. And now I made that darker. I want to make it a little more interesting with maybe some blue in there. I'm going to mix phthalo blue and brown. And just kind of get a little variation of tone in there. I'm just hitting that in a few spots. So, I mean, the idea is to have a variety. You know, you always want variety everywhere. It just makes it interesting. Always, always. Spice of life, right? And when I look at my sample painting, my little printout, I do see like hints of a bluish color. So I'm just putting that in here and there. To me, this is the fun part, the experimental. What happens if I put this color in and all that good stuff, you know? What would that look like? All right. All right, so now I'm going to hit this with the blow dryer and I'm going to do my really light highlights and then we're going to be done. All right, so I'm going to use my round brush. You guys still with me? I hope you are. Say hi, tell me where you're from. All right, I'm going to use white, my cool yellow, chrome yellow, and there is still a tiny bit of phthalo green on my plate, so that's just perfect. I like this. This is my really light highlight color that I'm going to put in, and it's a little thick and tacky, so I'm adding a little water. And so you really want to get a nice loaded brush, and then you want to wipe it against the rim of the plate so that it's properly loaded, so that the paint is distributed to the ends of the bristles too. I don't know if you can see that. You don't want a thick glob of paint on the end of your bristles. That's not going to help you much. So I'm just going to find a few spots where I really want to highlight and just paint some lines in like that. You can see where I just did those. Add a little bit more water and a little more chisel pointing. You can almost kind of flatten out this brush to get a thin line in a few spots. And sometimes just a little bit more water really helps it flow like that. So see that? So that water helps my line quite a bit. And I'm going to go over some of my previous trunks now. So see how painting over some of those trunk bases gives the feeling this is in front of it? So that's definitely something you want to do. And that's basically it, you guys. I don't know what else I can really show you. But yeah, have fun with this. Try it out. Experiment on watercolor paper, like I said. These are really not that hard. It's just that if you've never done it before, it seems really intimidating, especially since you're painting over a background you spent a lot of time on. It can be really scary, right? And then, I mean, I can even add a little bit of blue to this and make a slightly different lime green, slightly different shade of green. You know, put that in a few spots. All right, so you get the idea now, I hope. Let me know what you thought of this video. I hope it was helpful. And if you haven't liked my page, please like. And that's it, you guys. Have a great Tuesday. See you soon. Bye.